And now we're on to part 4 where we're doing echoes. Okay, Mike Burris with Spirit Music Meetups. And this is where we're going to start doing echoes, not just setups of the principal stroke, but we're going to be echoing this principal stroke. These again are all compound strokes, but we're going to expand them into simple strokes. Compound strokes are complex strokes, and these are all one-stroke rudiments. So now we're going to add an echo of the principal stroke. An echo. So I call them echo strokes. And there is the expanded version, right, right, left, left. And again, we often will see different accent combinations when you expand it. But when you see these kinds of strokes, this is compound, usually it's the big one, right? The grace note has no definite time value. We saw that. It can be any time value you want. We'll talk about that right here. So for instance, just as with the expanded version, you can give it different time values. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now it doesn't have to be loud and then this soft. Now grace notes that are setting up they're always down here. But when you're echoing it, you could make it this soft or you could make it this soft. See, it's halfway loud and then halfway. Or you can really trap it and play it soft. That's very difficult. So I think it's natural for it to just bounce. Let it bounce, and if it's halfway, great. Now, if you want to play both loud, that's a whole nother story, right? It's going to take 2 rebound strokes. A lot of work, right? Making double strokes really even is not easy. And the way they do that is by over-exaggerating the second stroke. So I said soft, loud. They call that inverted double. So that requires a whip, like a 1, a 2, like a shuffle. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. And what happens is when you go faster, you pull. You go loose, grab, loose, grab, loose, grab. And the pull creates the accent on the second. So it's kind of like a push, like a pushing your hand down and then pulling. I throw and I grab. I throw up. It's different terms for this. Watch a wonderful DVD series called Secret Weapons of the Modern Drummer by Jojo Mayer. So I'm not even, I could pull my wrist up. It's harder for me to do the traditional grip. I gotta work on it. So that's called an inverted double, and that will help your second stroke get louder so that when you play faster, you're throwing it down, it naturally is going to be loud, and then you can pull it back up. It starts to get about the same loudness. So, da, 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 da. So now I'm exaggerating that second stroke. Gotta get up a little higher. Still hitting it because it's not straight. These start to even out because I've been practicing pulling my hand up, right? Getting that sound, that louder sound on the second stroke. So that is the double or double stroke roll. When you roll, that's called double stroke roll. This by itself is called a double stroke or a double. Now this is called a trap. So I'm throwing it down and I'm trapping my fingers. Duh. So it's very loose, but it makes a loud soft sound. But it can be very effective. It's for when you don't need to. It's not going to sound good as a roll. But it's good for like Ruffs. I call those blasts. That's a 4-stroke Ruff from the last video. 4-stroke Ruff. But it's a variation using doubles. Now, when they expand it, they use it and they call it a diddle. Diddle, 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 diddle. And that's for like paradiddles. Paradiddle, paradiddle, or paradiddle, diddle, paradiddle, diddle, or paradiddle, diddle, paradiddle, diddle. So again, these rudiments can always be expanded and used in other rudiments. Isn't that beautiful? That is beautiful. So I'm excited. I hope you guys use this. And so that is the diddle, but when you contract it or compress it, it's the double stroke. It's all perspective and how you use it. So now, if you add another echo stroke, they call it a triple stroke or triple, and we have something like that. All right, again, that's usually the loud part, and it's just going to bounce naturally however you want it to bounce, okay? You can trap your fingers down, pulling your fingers in, and that'll cause these to quickly die off. Or you can try to keep them even, or, like I said, there's different accents, and you can even do an accent in the middle, which is awkward. But you can get different accents when you expand it into 3 simple strokes. So you get into, this is a little harder, so you got to throw it and let it bounce. But you got to pick it up before it has a chance to bounce too many times, right? So I'm letting my fingers go da, da, da. I'm just like letting my fingers ride. I didn't throw my fingers off because that causes the stick to move sideways. And then I'm pulling my fingers in at the end to keep it from bouncing too many times. And then I pick it up. But when you go fast, you don't even have a chance to pull your fingers in. You just pull your wrist up. So, not really watching what I'm doing. All right, so that's the triple stroke. But if you really want to work on your weak, is put the accent at the end. So it's called an inverted triple stroke. So you have to learn how to pick it up and pull those fingers up. Da, da, da. So the fingers are just kind of riding along with the stick, very loose on the stick. I don't practice this very often. I guess I should, right? This is a molar whip. And that's really kind of like and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, like a galloping horse. Up and gallop and gallop and gallop and gallop and gallop. So like on the edge of your hi-hat, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a... So when you're going slower, you can get the molar whip in there. So it's hard on the left hand. Oh, I'm not going to waste your time because I don't want to burn off that time for you. And I do not sound good on it. So the last one is adding one more stroke called a quadruple stroke, or just a quad, and it looks like this. Quads, all right, quads. They're not easy, but this is really like a timekeeper. 1 E and a, like 1 E and a 16 notes. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. That's if you expand it, right? 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. So that's really good for your timekeeper playing, funk rock. So that's a real molar technique, okay? And again, you can invert it, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 1 E and a, or count it different. E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. So it's just a different way of counting, right? It's a different way of counting so that you get the accent on the end, right? So it's really hard to do this, letting it bounce, and time it out to 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I had to go to a French timpani grip. So you guys can mess around with that. I don't have a lot of use for that. It's kind of an esoteric application. But we can drag this echo strokes out even more. We talked a lot about this in the orchestral drag. But here we're actually buzzing that right hand or multiple bouncing it. So now we get into a multiple bounce roll. But use buzz strokes a lot in jazz and all kinds of second line jazz, New Orleans jazz. So you get this, you know, like, again, you want to get down to one, you know, you can wrap your finger around, but that kills a lot of the buzz. So if you can do this, it'd be great, but I have to pretty much play with my thumb on top. See, my thumb's on top, so I don't lose the stick. So that gives me a good buzz, but not a lot of control. So if I have to play, I'll get up into the second grip instead of just into the first knuckle. I'll get into the second knuckle, and I'll wrap that finger all over, but it really does kill a lot of buzz. But if you're playing really loud, it doesn't matter. Right? So being able to buzz at will is very helpful. And then buzz strokes, rolls, you want to even them out. I like to go on my thumbs on the top. So just keep a nice even pressure. Just nice even pressure. Use your arms a little bit. And of course it sounds a lot better not on a practice pad. And I like to get right on my thumb tips when I'm playing soft. Again, you don't really want to let the stick touch your palms because that kills a lot of this. Right? Kills a lot of the bounce. So that's a finesse thing too, playing buzz strokes, and it's a lot of fun. And so that is all the echo strokes that we have. And then just there's one other rudiment that is commonly out there, and it uses a setup and an echo, but you can turn it into a buzz. So you have a setup stroke called a flam, and then you double it. So it's a double stroke, and it's a flam double stroke. They call it a cheese, a flammed double stroke. Or you can buzz this, so it's a flammed buzz stroke, right? Buzz. And you can get, when you look at this expanded, they call this a flam tap. It's another rudiment called a flam tap. And if you fully expand it, it is a backside triplet. The triplet, the double is on the backside. It's a triplet, they call it. I think it's a bad name. But it's a backside triplet, left leading. So let's look at that, and then we'll just call it a night. So there we go. We've got through all these. So we got a flam and a double. So that's what it. So that's what it is. It's a flam double. Or you can think of it as a flam tap, 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 flam tap. Alternating flam tap, flam tap, flam tap, flam tap, flam tap. They call them cheeses. So here's that. So that's flammed and a buzz. I think it's kind of, you don't even hear the flam part. It's like a dirty buzz roll. you know, you're not going to hear it. This is lost, you know. Maybe on a very tight field drum, you know. A marching field drum, you're going to hear that. You can hear that tick. I think it's just dirty. I think it's just a way of attacking. The flam adds a little accent, a little attack to the buzz roll. Right, you're buzzing. Right? I don't think I've ever used that in drum set playing. I think it's just purely a hybrid rudiment used to show off your chops in core drumming and drum corps drum line. So I think we've covered it all. If you have any comments, that would be great. This is the way we learn from one another, spread the love. And Mike Burris here. Check out the Rudiments page. I'll put a link there for you. And that's how we get better. We play. We expand on the rudiments of drumming. The core rudiments of drumming, just expanding on them, adding more strokes in the beginning. Those are called grace notes. Setups, they're setting it up, leading up to the main principal stroke, or echoes, or both. You could actually come up with your own hybrids by mixing those together. And some people have played around with that. Real chop building stuff, right? But I've gone over all the main ones that you'll see out there in the PAS, Percussive Art Society, and NARD, National Rudiments Drumming, and the 26 standard drum rudiments and the 40 from the PAS. And there's a lot of hybrids, you know. So enjoy. God bless you. I look forward to your comments. Spread the love. All right. Bye-bye.